Good morning. Welcome. I am Stephen C., and you are at Steve O'C's on TikTok. Today is Wednesday, July 9th, 2025, 11 a.m. Central Time. Thank you for stopping by. This is our daily Course in Miracles review. Using the Course in Miracles, the daily lesson, corresponding portion of the text, as a framework and a platform for spiritual flow, metaphysical discussion, mysticism, awareness, a chance for self-inquiry, an opportunity to apply impartial self-observation, discussing the perennial philosophy and ancient wisdom. So welcome. Thank you for being here. I am here every morning at 11 a.m. Central Time. If you miss the live, or if you would like to replay some of the previous material that we have covered since January 1st about the Course in Miracles and about spirituality, metaphysics, esoteric Christianity, you can go to my YouTube channel. There is a link in the account bio, or you can search at Steve O'C's, STEVOSEES. Over on YouTube, there are over 150 hours, 189 broadcast transmissions, downloads over on the YouTube channel. So please go check it out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave some comments and some likes. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here this morning. I'd like to begin each session with a centering exercise, reading the introduction to the Course, reading the introduction to the text as a form of an opening prayer in order to center and ground ourselves in this material before we engage with the lesson of the day. The introduction to the Course reads, "This is a course in miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear. But what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God." So those two paragraphs, those 12 sentences, a very concise, direct summary of the Course in Miracles, the purpose, the goal, the results, perfect peace, peace that passes understanding. Acquiring the ability to forgive, practicing, removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. In this state of mind, which is a new state of mind, a renewed state of mind, a transformed, transcendent consciousness and awareness, in that state of mind, what is real is recognized, and it is also recognized what is real cannot be attacked, cannot be threatened. Why? Because nothing unreal exists. There is no opposition. There is no antagonist. in effect. Okay, so in this world in which we perceive duality, in which we do perceive opposition, destruction, confusion, disunity, although we do perceive it and have an experience of it, it is not real. It can therefore be transformed, transmuted, transcended. It is an illusion. We are operating in a dream state, individually and collectively, metaphysically hallucinating, dreaming, according to the Course in Miracles and according to esoteric science. Now, this idea, of course, is very challenging to the egoic consciousness, very challenging to that part of the mind that believes it is separate from its source, that does not know itself, and thus operates within the illusion. And very interestingly today, in the discussion, in the teaching of the lesson for the day, there is a discussion of illusion and disillusionment, which it does have something very interesting to say. So let's take a look. Let's get into it. Today is lesson 190. Everybody knows the rules, one lesson per day. Today is the 190th day of the year, Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. Lesson for the day reads, I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. So there is a choice. We are not locked in. We can awaken ourselves. In fact, that is exactly what we are engaged in, awakening ourselves. This is the purpose. This is the goal, to awaken. This is our function, according to this text, in this context. So I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Let's see what the Course has to say here. And it starts off the real forehead slapper. It says pain is a wrong perspective. Pain is a wrong perspective. When it is experienced in any form, it is a proof of self-deception. It is not a fact at all. Right? So those first three sentences, in the wild, in the world, those three sentences are not welcomed warmly, let's say. Pain is a wrong perspective. When it is experienced in any form, it is a proof of self-deception. It is not a fact at all. Will be attacked. That series of sentences, that idea, that thought form will be attacked in the wild, in the world. Here, well, this is a safe space. This is a safe space for the discussion of this idea, for the allowing of this idea, for the consideration of this idea, that pain is not a fact at all. And again, there will be objections. Yes, pain is a fact. Suffering is not a fact. You see, these types of counter arguments, how dare you? I am in pain. How dare you tell me that my pain is a wrong perspective? Of course, this protest, this attack, and this defense is the very substance of what the Course in Miracles talks about. A split mind, a fragmented mind, a mind that is not cohesive, a mind that is not integrated. There is no form it takes that will not disappear if seen aright. There is no form pain takes, suffering takes, that will not disappear if seen aright. For pain proclaims God cruel. How could it be real in any form? It witnesses to God the Father's hatred of his Son, the sinfulness he sees in him, and his insane desire for revenge and death. So it is not beyond the Course in Miracles to be slightly sarcastic. Course in Miracles is narrated by Jesus, narrated by the voice of Jesus, transcribed or scribed by Helen Schuckman, a psychology professor from Columbia University. In 1975, this course was written down, and Helen Schuckman, who you can read about in the preface, claims the voice she heard dictating, not audibly, but spiritually, metaphysically, the information she was receiving was given to her from the mind of Jesus. So here, a little bit of sarcasm. Pain proclaims God cruel. How could it be real in any form? It witnesses to God the Father's hatred of his Son, the sinfulness he sees in him, and his insane desire for revenge and the big D. But it asks a question here. Can such projections be attested to? Now, are the power of our psychology, the power, the psychic energy that is available to us from the unconscious mind, from the quote-unquote spirit world, from dark energy, dark matter, okay, unknown energy, infinite energy. That power, that strength is infinite, unlimited. And that energy passing through our conscious mind projects itself, either extends itself or projects itself, according to the Course, according to this text, according to the way those two words are defined in this framework. It can be projected, which is a distortion, or it can be extended, in which case that energy is not distorted in any way. It is pure, innocent, or sinless, as defined in this context. So, can such projections be attested to? Can they be anything but wholly false? Pain is but witness to the Son's mistakes in what he thinks he is. You are the Son of God. I am the Son of God. We are the Son of God. All of creation is the Son of God. Okay? It's a metaphor. It's a symbol. You have to be able to apply abstract thinking here. Pain is but a witness or a result to the mistaken idea of who and what you think you are, who and what I think I am. It is a dream of fierce retaliation for a crime that could not be committed, for an attack on what is wholly unassailable, innocent. It is an attack on complete innocence. It is an attack on the unassailable for no reason at all. It is a false attack. It has no justification. Attack has no justification. Now, what the Course is saying is, in consciousness, we attack ourselves from our split mind. And it hopes to help us recognize that, first of all, recognize that, begin to acknowledge that the perception of duality, that the perception of a protagonist and an antagonist, that the perception of war is a faulty perception. There's something wrong there. So again and again and again, every day, the Course reinforces presents and then reinforces a different cosmology, a different worldview, a different thought system. Yes, composed of seemingly separate thoughts, although they are all one thought. God is love. Okay, so I choose the joy of God instead of pain, instead of the pain of the ego consciousness, instead of the pain of a consciousness that believes it is separate. Pain is a sign illusions reign in place of truth. It demonstrates God is denied, cut off. Okay? Pain is a sign, pain is a symbol. The reason pain can be transformed. Hi, Tara. Good morning. Thank you for the likes. Good to see you. Good to see you again. Pain is a sign. Pain is a symbol. Illusions reign in place of truth. It demonstrates God is denied, confused with fear, perceived as mad, and seen as traitor to himself. Right? So again, we're extending the discussion here from yesterday. Discussion yesterday led us to have a little chuckle, a little laugh about a punishing God, an angry God, a God of war, right? Which, as it stands in the illusion, is a part of the development of consciousness. It is a part of the evolution of consciousness, a punishing God, a God of war. But when you have had enough of that punishing God, when you have had enough of that God of war, you can let it go. You can transform your conception of God. You can evolve. You can transcend that idea. A good person to study, a good author to study about that evolution of consciousness without getting too deep into the weeds is Ken Wilber. I mean, he is pretty much an egghead, a nerd, but it is accessible if you read Ken Wilber, his theory of everything, or one of his earlier books called Up from Eden. He starts to explain other people, psychologists, cognitive psychologists, sociologists, anthropologists who have presented theories of developmental psychology, developmental sociology, developmental anthropology, evolutionary sociology. Okay, there's a progression, and every time there is a shift to a new level, there is a transcendence. It includes the lower level. The lower level is never destroyed. It's like the ground floor of a skyscraper. Okay? Those first 20 floors, those first 40 floors of the skyscraper have to be there for floors 60 to 80 and 80 to 100. Those lower floors have to be there. It's a progression. So check out Ken Wilber. So here we're looking at esoteric Christianity through the Course in Miracles, the next level of consciousness in general. The next level of consciousness is being exposed so we can grasp it, understand it, develop it within ourselves, and therefore transcend the current situation, the current environment, current political situation, the current environmental situation, the current financial situation. A new level of consciousness, an expanded level of consciousness, higher, if you will, higher, more expanded, more inclusive. So this is what's being talked about here in this lesson, in this paragraph, as it says, if God is real, there is no pain. If pain is real, there is no God. For vengeance is not a part of love. I'll say that again. Vengeance is not a part of love. So if God created us in his image and likeness, if we are one with God, right, why is there fragmentation? Why is there pain? Why is there suffering, right? The eternal question, if God exists, why the mess? So there's an answer to it. It has several parts to it. The answer is there is a God. There is no mess. We only think there's a mess. We've made a mess. We've dreamed a mess, metaphysically, right? Through transcending energetically, through consciousness, through thought and feeling, through the quantum field, we can transcend the current situation. We can jump timelines. We can, ascend to a higher dimension, however you want to say it, however you want to conceive of it, however it makes sense to you. This is the point in history where the institutional monolithic ideas cosmologies, mythologies are breaking up. So now you can develop your own cosmology. You can develop your own mythology. Yes, someone might call you a weirdo, but you're not going to be thrown out of the village. You're not going to be burned at the stake. Okay, you're not going to be tortured by the Inquisition physically anymore. I suppose there's a different kind of Inquisition now, the social Inquisition, the canceling Inquisition, but nonetheless, all a part of the mix, all a part of the game, all a part of the fun, if you can see it that way, if you can, if you're willing to experience it that way. And by your acceptance of thinking of it that way, you can begin to build some momentum and some experience, and you will actually begin to experience things that way. Vengeance is not a part of love, and fear, denying love and using pain to prove that God is dead, has shown that death is victor over life. The body is the Son of God, corruptible in death, as mortal as the Father he has slain. Right? So reject God in consciousness. There is no God. I'm on my own. I got to do this by myself. It creates kind of a fearful situation if you think about it. That fearful situation leads to defensiveness, leads to attack in order to defend, to attack in order to defend. Okay, and then, yes, that is expressed as that energy is made manifest, brought forth. Okay, it multiplies, it coalesces, begins to operate autonomously. So we want to reverse that. We want to go the other way. And there is plenty of support, plenty of protection, plenty of substantial support, substance, plenty of helpers, angels, guides, masters to help us on our way, to support us. So we've just said if pain is real, there is no God. Then we outlined some of the effects of that: pain, death, corruption, waste, abuse. Okay. Now it says peace, peace to such foolishness. The time has come to laugh at such insane ideas. There is no need to think of them as savage crimes or secret sins with weighty consequence. In other words, lighten up. Lighten up. More light, more light. Lighten up. It's okay. It's just a dream. There is no need to think of them as savage crimes or secret sins with weighty consequence. Who but a madman could conceive of them as cause of anything? Their witness, pain, is as mad as they, as crazy, cray-cray as they, and no more to be feared than the insane illusions which it shields and tries to demonstrate must still be true. So, again, and again, in this text, in this study, Course in Miracles says you believe this stuff. You want this stuff. Some part of you, way down deep in there, enjoys this stuff. Something. is attracted, the Course says, is attracted to guilt, is attracted to shame. Guilt is attracted to shame. Now, there's lots of different reasons for that, which is also enumerates throughout the text, throughout the workbook. One of the reasons is it's kind of hard work to clean it all up. It takes some effort to clean it up just for yourself, just for your side of the street. As Carl Jung said, most people do not want to engage their shadow. Most people do not want to do the psychological work. They don't want to look. They don't want to make the effort. And Carl Jung also gave us a warning. Carl Jung said, either deal with it consciously, voluntarily, or deal with it unconsciously, of necessity. It will be dealt with one way or another. So we can all, each of us, if we're being honest, find particular examples of this in our own lives. No big deal. Do not judge yourself. Do not condemn yourself. These facts, quote unquote facts, are true of everyone. Okay? You can also see it happening collectively, nationally, internationally, globally. You can see it happening. However, the solution, the answer to the problem is not external. It is internal. Okay? It is self-individuation. It is God's plan for salvation in the nomenclature of the Course in Miracles. God's plan for salvation, healing, peace, harmony, love, understanding, compassion. Okay? It's obviously, the solution is obviously not dropping more bombs on each other. The solution, newsflash, the solution, I know it's hard to believe, is not blowing things up. But what we're saying here is, if individually and collectively, if a sufficient number do not turn within, it will be played out on the screen of consciousness, in the hologram. It will be played out. Those psychic energies, those powerful psychic energies, the energies of the soul, the psyche, the soul. Psyche is the Greek word for soul. So those soul energies will not be ignored because evolution moves on, because the universe has a theology. The universe is just not some random chaos that luckily forms itself through natural selection into some sort of semblance of order. Sorry. No, it has a purpose. It has a direction. It has a purpose. It has a direction. It operates lawfully. It operates through law. Continuing here, it says, it is your thoughts alone that cause you pain. Nothing external to your mind can hurt or injure you in any way. There is no cause beyond yourself that can reach down and bring oppression. No one but yourself affects you. So we're changing our thoughts. One of the thoughts that has to be changed is that there's other people out there. There's, Course calls them figures in a dream. Why would you be afraid of figures in a dream? Insubstantial, ethereal. Now, it's kind of a paradoxical statement. You have to be able to, be able to, hold, you have to be able to hold on. Still have to act in the world. But no one but yourself affects you. There is no one else. That is the mystery, the magic, and the miracle of consciousness. There's only one consciousness. You are drawing the picture of your life from one consciousness, from one source. There is nothing in the world, okay? There's nothing external that has the power to make you ill or sad or weak or frail. But it is you who have the power to dominate all things you see by merely recognizing what you are. So again, another tricky sentence. Dominate everything I see. Okay, not by dropping bombs. We already said that. But by merely recognizing who you are. That is how you dominate, by recognizing who you are, and that is an inside game. Technically, truthfully, has nothing to do with anything outside of you, because everything outside of you is simply a projection, an extension of what is inside of you. So it is an inside game. It is you who have the power to dominate all things you see by merely recognizing who you are. As you perceive the harmlessness in them, harmlessness within, harmlessness without, nothing can hurt me. They will accept your holy will as theirs. Okay, there's an important statement. Once you are truly convinced, once you are truly vibrating at a higher vibration, quote unquote, the people outside of you will begin to accept it and mirror it back to you. Witness to it, the Course says. So you will begin to see more and more witnesses to the truth. Okay? And that's what you have to be looking for. You have to be looking for witnesses to the truth. You have to be looking for witnesses to peace. You have to practice overlooking witnesses to war, witnesses to destruction. Kind of have to find a pleasant, civil way of ignoring them. Okay. Not trying to shut them down, not trying to shut them up, just calmly, peacefully looking past it, not being affected. Them, they will accept your holy will as theirs. And what was seen as fearful now becomes a source of innocence and holiness. My holy brother, think of this a while. The world you see does nothing. It has no effects at all on you. Okay? It merely represents your thoughts, and it will change entirely as you elect to change your mind and choose the joy of God as what you really want. Yourself, capital S, is radiant in this holy joy, unchanged, unchanging, and unchangeable forever and forever. The world, as causeless, has no power to cause. As an effect, it cannot make effects. As an illusion, it is what you wish. Your idle wishes represent its pains. Your strange desires bring it evil dreams. Okay, strange desires, twisted desires, confused desires. Okay, lay down your arms, come without defense into the quiet place where heaven's peace holds all things still at last. Lay down all thoughts of danger and of fear. You will understand there is no pain. Here does the joy of God belong to you, within you. You have to understand there has to be some sort of meditation practice, some practice where you can be still internally. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that. There's a couple more paragraphs, but I want to touch quickly on the text also. So today, lesson 190, I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Simple. So for the text today, chapter 22, section 2, your brother's sinlessness. Key concept. My sinlessness, your sinlessness. My sin, your sin. Your sin, my sin. Your sinlessness, my sinlessness. So it's going to explain that here. The opposite of illusions is not a disillusionment, but truth. Only to the ego, to which truth is meaningless, do they appear to be the only alternatives and different from each other. In truth, they are the same. Illusions and disillusionment, disappointment in anything. The only reason that disillusionment happens is because the illusion has collapsed. If the illusion disappears and we see the truth, there will be no disillusionment, only joy, happiness, recognition of love. In truth, illusion and disillusionment are the same. Both bring the same amount of misery. Though each one seems to be the way to lose the misery the other brings. Every illusion carries pain and suffering in the dark folds of the heavy garments in which it hides its nothingness. Yet by these dark and heavy garments are those who seek illusions covered and hidden from the joy of truth. Truth is the opposite of illusions because it offers joy. What else but joy could be the opposite of misery? To change illusions is to make no change. So how can joy be found in misery? Illusions carry only guilt and suffering, sickness and death to their believers. The form in which they are accepted is irrelevant. No form of misery can be confused with joy. Joy is eternal. You can be sure that any seeming happiness that does not last is really fear. Right? So total commitment, complete commitment to the truth. Do I really want to be happy? or every so often do I want to be unhappy and miserable so I can collect a little sympathy. See, this is the psychological aspects of it, right? Do I want to be strong? Do I want to be joyful? Do I want to be peaceful? Or every so often do I want to bring the whip out and crack the whip? Show everybody who's boss, right? Create misery, right? And then what do I get in return? More misery. Reason will tell you the only way to escape from misery is to recognize it and go the other way. Okay. Such is the power of belief. It cannot compromise. Faith in innocence is faith in sin if the belief excludes one living thing and holds it out apart from its forgiveness. So I'm kind of skipping around here a little bit. So we're getting close to closing out here. The commitment has to be total, right? So the truth is total, and so illusion is total. And what's being said here is if there's even one jot or tittle, there's even one little reservation against the truth, then it's you're still caught up in illusion. If there's one situation, one person that I won't forgive, that I won't be willing to see joy in, to see peace in, then that's a reservation. And so it's still a part of illusion. Ego will assure you it is impossible for you to see no guilt in anyone. And if this seeing is the only means by which escape from guilt can be attained, then the belief in sin must be eternal. So the ego wants sin to be eternal, eternal damnation. The Holy Spirit says, no, sin, eternal damnation, is not real. You're just misperceiving. You're seeing things in a distorted fashion. It's just a mistake. Do not condemn your brother to hell, because if you do, you're going with him. Right. Reason, the Holy Spirit looks on this another way, for reason sees the source of an idea as what will make it either true or false. This must be so if the idea is like the source. So the Course says, ideas leave not their source. Projection is an attempt to get rid of an idea that we don't like, that I don't like. So I project it onto you. I project it onto the world. So all the projections of anger and frustration onto the world reflect back to me as war. But if I look at the world from the other source, from a different source, the Holy Spirit, knowing that the world is an illusion, knowing that the world can be transformed and changed through consciousness, then I will look on it with forgiveness, with joy. Therefore, says reason, if escape from guilt was given to the Holy Spirit as her purpose, and by one to whom nothing he wills can be impossible, to God nothing is impossible, the means for its attainment are more than possible. They must be there, and you must have them. So that is God's plan for salvation for the world, otherwise known as the atonement, the attunement, returning the world to its source, returning my consciousness to its source. And since that is God's will, and since God's will is absolute, nothing is impossible to God. Since that is God's will that I awaken, I must be awake. I must have the means for awakening. So the means must exist to transform the world. So this is what the Course says, reason. So this is what the Course says, reason will tell you, right? Be reasonable. The current condition of the world cannot be the final condition of the world. It must be redeemed. It must be redeemable. Okay, and very quickly, I'll read part of paragraph 6 here, but that is about it for today. Thanks again for the likes. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks, Tara. And thank you, anyone else who has liked this, shared this, left a comment today. I might have missed a couple comments, possible. So this says here, this is a crucial period in this course, for here the separation of you and the ego must be made complete. So we're going to return to God, separate from the ego. Instead of stick with the ego, separate from God, we want to reverse the situation. For if you have the means to let the Holy Spirit's purpose be accomplished, they can be used. Through their use, you will gain faith in them. So these ideas have to be practiced. The information here has to be encountered. It has to be processed. It has to be worked with. Through that use, through that application, you will gain faith in them, in those tools, in the information. You will embody the information. Through their use, you will gain faith in them, yet to the ego, this must be impossible. And no one undertakes to do what holds no help of ever being done. You know what your Creator wills is possible, but what you made, the ego consciousness, believes it is not so. And thus, it says here, this is a crucial moment. We have to separate ourselves from the ego. We have to have a conversation with the ego consciousness and say, okay, that's enough. I'm not going to listen to you anymore because I don't like the results. I want better results. Now, you must choose between yourself and an illusion of yourself. Not both, but one. There is no point in trying to avoid this one decision. It must be made. So this is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. This is just one form of course. This is just, call it supplemental material, call it a supplemental practice. You don't have to believe in Christianity. You don't have to believe you don't have to believe in the Christian church. You don't have to believe in the Catholic Church. Just there's certain terminology is being used here, familiar terminology. If it triggers you, that's part of the process. So there is no point in trying to avoid this one decision. Giving up the ego, turning the other cheek, turning toward God consciousness, turning toward wholeness, turning toward fullness, turning toward ease and grace. Okay, this decision must be made. Misery lies on one side, joy on the other. And then it asks us to remember, forsake not your brother. For you who are the same will not decide alone or differently. Okay, we have to decide together. And we all have to decide the same thing. That's where the ego jumps in and goes, that's impossible. That's where the Holy Spirit, if you'll listen for her, says nothing is impossible to God. Take a step back, hold my beer, I'll handle this, right? So you have to turn it over to the Holy Spirit. Allow a higher power to work it out. Meanwhile, enjoy the ride, enjoy the show. All right, thank you for being here. Again, thank you for the likes and the comments and your presence. Your presence is essential. So thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time. Peace and blessings to you. Have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.